Welcome to the Center for Supply Chain Research at Lehigh Fall Forum 2025, where the theme is innovation in the supply chain. We have got a fantastic number of keynote speakers and panelists who are going to be sharing insights about innovations that's actually happening in their company.
That still exists on Insights and AI. You can still bring your building ideas, but now, instead of you building it on a layer of brick, you have true soil that you can use in order for us to leverage. Okay? This is, to me, a game changer. For an enterprise, this is a game changer. Because it gives us the access, it has the connectivity. Some of the pundits, AI, well, we don't need structured data. It doesn't matter if it's structured, if it's unstructured, it's streaming, it doesn't matter. As long as it's connected, it's accessible, and it's governed.
So why does innovation matter? We always talk about innovation. And innovation matters more now than ever before. In this fast-paced, changing world, consumers are looking for new solutions. They're always looking to see how they can make their life a little better, a little easier. And so now is when innovation gets to be even more important, to be available and to be present with your consumers when they need you the most.
Cool thing that it enables is over time you start to build up basically here's your product catalog, here's all the 1,000 things or 10,000 things that we care about, and here's the networks that we rely on. And then it helps you triage. You can start to say, okay, knowing what I know about my network, what about that really matters? You know, let me overlay spend data, let me overlay risk data of various different sorts, let me overlay things like sentiment, what brands do I care about, what brands don't I care about, let me overlay things like tariff impact and figure out what to do about it, and then help me connect across that supply chain to mitigate issues.
She throws the packing material in. She's not throwing it in, she's placing it because she's done this 100,000 times last week alone. And now she chooses what one she's going to work on next. She puts that on a takeaway conveyor. Away it goes onto that print and apply machine. Amen. Everybody's happy. Okay. That was before. Okay. Now, can you imagine the idea of doing that repetitive job of scanning every single unit just all day long? It is very tedious, and it is not everybody's favorite job. So these are the robots that do that job.
So Kate, I'm going to start with you. Supply chain innovation, it often requires collaboration, not within internally, but outside, and especially in your world. Can you share an example? What made it work? What didn't?
So if you're going to be innovative, right, your customers need to also be accepting of that mindset. One example I have is we have a customer hundreds of miles away from one of our plants that gets many, many deliveries of nitrogen and oxygen every single day. And when we first started, we were having to have our drivers, stay overnight in order to make the full route because of DOT restrictions, because it was so far away. And with the time it takes to actually deliver the gas, they couldn't turn it around in their daily allotment. At our company, drivers having to be overnight on the road is not something we do. We pride ourselves in having them back home every single night. So we had to work with the customer specifically and come up with a new solution in order to deliver in sort of an out-of-the-box way so that our drivers could be back home every single night.
We're looking for leaders. We're looking for people who have best athlete attributes, who are thinkers, who have initiative, who've been successful in everything that they've ever done, who can build teams, who are effective communicators. The science of our business, whether it's truck leasing or logistics, it's very learnable. Right? But what you really need are leaders that have those attributes. And then inside of that, how do you structure a team that can innovate? You have great leaders, and then we heard multiple examples of it's a multifunctional approach. Everybody has a role, but and good ideas can come from anywhere, but ultimately the business has to drive those. Right? Because if it doesn't bring value to your customer, it's a bright, shiny object. Not every bright, shiny object has value.
My only question to the owner of my company was, what's your sales philosophy? And he said, if you have to sell somebody on cybersecurity and better securing their networks, move on. Like, don't even bother. It doesn't, there's plenty of people out there that realize, hey, this is what you need. And if they're customers already and they have an issue, it's our job to better educate them on why they need to do things in a more efficient way, or how technology can help them get there.
To one example of how I think machine learning and artificial intelligence is revolutionizing some areas of the supply chain, and how we Trimble are applying that in the particular area of procurement. And in this zone, what I mean by that is sourcing for transportation rates and capacity. That's the idea of a buyer procuring, right, or buying rates from a seller, a carrier. And I know we have both shippers and carriers, so that's buy and sell. And I think we also have some LSPs and 3PLs in the room that might do both, buy and sell.
Well, why is that happening? And, you would have thought it stunned him. And he says to me, like, wow, that was an incredible question. Now, it's like, it was a good question, but it wasn't like amazing. It's just this idea that so often we face problems and we don't invest the needed time to delve deeper. And when we sort of ask why, that can be a really good avenue into doing so.